King Charles finally breaks his silence. I hated her. At long last, the ancient walls of the palace can no longer conceal the dark secret that is smoldered within. King Charles, after years of silence cloaked in shadows, has chosen to shatter the stillness with a voice trembling with rage. His words, "I despise her," ring out like thunder, igniting a storm of controversy within the royal fold. Decades of buried resentment have surged to the surface, fierce and unrelenting. Who is the target of this fury? What mysterious force has driven this composed king to the brink of an abyss? Join us as we peel back the veiled layers to uncover the shocking truth behind King Charles's explosive confession. A fated pair. The first encounter between King Charles and Princess Diana is often whispered to be tied to a lavish party orchestrated by Sarah, her powerful elder sister. It's said that it was at this gathering that their eyes first met, as if orchestrated by fate itself. But according to Charles's own account, the true story began in a far hazier, less glamorous setting than the rumors suggest. Diana was just 16 then, a quiet, reserved young girl still lost in the journey of finding herself. Meanwhile, Charles, a man in his late 20s, was already a dazzling figure in the public eye. Yet at that moment, his heart was ensnared by Sarah, a confident, outgoing woman who had skillfully carved her place in his life. Despite the age gap that hung like a veil between them, and though his loyalty leaned toward Diana's sister, Charles couldn't deny the strange pull of the young girl's vibrant energy and genuine warmth. But his heart, tethered to Sarah, only flickered briefly before quietly snuffing out that fleeting spark. Soon after that enigmatic meeting, Charles and Sarah embarked on a skiing holiday together. Their every step illuminated by the blazing lights of the press, the media rushed to paint them as a flawless pair, eagerly weaving a tale of an impending royal engagement. Photographs of them skiing side by side, their smiles radiant under the winter sun, flooded newspapers and magazines as if shouting that Sarah was destined to claim the heart of the future king. But behind that glittering curtain, the truth lurked in the shadows. At another of Sarah's gatherings, Charles and Diana found themselves face to face in an unexpected private moment, as though fate had set a trap. As Diana guided him through the gallery of her home, their conversation flowed like a wordless melody, chillingly natural. Her innate kindness and fervor etched themselves into Charles's mind, stirring an attraction he hadn't foreseen. Though still bound by his vow to Sarah, that moment secretly planted a seed of curiosity, quietly sprouting in his soul. Meanwhile, Diana, still a young girl, felt both honored and tremblingly overwhelmed by the gaze of a man far older than she, a royal figure with an irresistible allure. Yet everything remained tangled in a whirlwind of confusion. Sarah was still an indelible presence in Charles's life, and the notion of Diana stepping into her place seemed a distant dream. Then, in a dramatic twist no one saw coming, the unthinkable happened. Sarah, who seemed to hold everything in her grasp, was the first to walk away. In a blunt interview with a magazine, she coldly declared that she harbored no romantic feelings for Charles and had no desire to join the royal ranks. The public reeled as if struck by a blow to the chest. Just weeks earlier, she had glowed beside the prince on holiday, the picture of blossoming love. Now she had ruthlessly erased that illusion. Soon after, she wed another, slamming shut the chapter of her life with Charles and leaving behind an unresolved enigma. When Sarah stepped out of the light, Charles found himself freed from the chains of loyalty, his gaze slowly turning toward Diana, a figure once as fleeting as a wisp of smoke in his memory. Now she emerged in a new light, mysterious and captivating, a puzzle he couldn't resist. Yet the shadow of doubt lingered. The 12-year age gap hung like a misty veil, and Diana's innocence in the face of royal life's harsh demands remained an unanswered question. Still, Charles plunged into the pursuit, drawing her closer with each step, their meetings piling up like pages flipped in a midnight gale. The royal family, ever-watchful guardians in the darkness of public opinion, observed this budding romance with piercing eyes. They saw in Diana a hidden gem, charming, refined, and above all, untainted by scandal. With their silent nod, the love story surged forward, culminating in a grand proposal that sent the world into a chorus of celebration. Their wedding was a magnificent spectacle, where the brilliance of opulence and tradition intertwined, broadcast to millions of enthralled eyes. Diana, in her stunning gown, stepped forth like a princess from a fairy tale, while Charles, with a calm that masked the undercurrents, played the devoted groom to perfection. The public was enraptured, believing they were witnessing the dawn of an everlasting love story. But beneath that flawless veneer, cracks had already begun to form, like fissures on the face of an ancient statue. During their engagement interview, Diana answered with the certainty of an open heart when asked if they were in love. But Charles, his response was icy, indifferent, a gust slicing through the night, planting the first public seed of doubt. He sounded like a stranger, devoid of passion. Deep within, Diana felt the sting of his coldness. Yet she pressed on, carried forward by the encouragement of those around her. Then, as the wedding day drew near, another dark shadow rose. Diana discovered Charles had secretly sent a gift to Camilla Parker Bowles, the old flame who never faded from his memory. The realization struck her like a dagger to the heart, leaving her reeling. She teetered on the edge of calling it all off, but in the end, propelled by her family's reassurances and the weight of public expectation, she carried on. When the ceremony concluded, Dinah was thrust into a world she was never fully prepared for. The pressure of royal duties, the ceaseless scrutiny of the press, and the demand to maintain a flawless image bore down on her like an invisible boulder. Meanwhile, Charles, though fond of Diana in his way, wrestled with the stark mismatch of their souls. His enduring bond with Camilla never truly severed, and Diana, with her keen intuition, sensed its presence in every breath he took. As time passed, the fractures in their marriage grew stark, like crevices splitting the earth before a quake. The emotional chasm between them widened, unbridgeable, and Charles drifted further, a phantom slipping from the light. Rumors of his long affair with Camilla spread like wildfire through a dry forest, and soon they were undeniable. Diana, no longer able to bear the stifling silence, broke through the barrier, voicing her pain and admitting the emptiness and loneliness gnawing at her heart. She even confronted Camilla face to face, pleading with her to step aside. But it was as unyielding as stone. Nothing changed. The tension between Charles and Diana only worsened, while the press, like ravenous vultures, swooped in to devour every shard of their fractured marriage. Then came the fateful scandal that shook everything. A secret phone call between Charles and Camilla was leaked, laying bare the raw truth of their relationship. The intimate words were undeniable proof that Charles had never let go of Camilla, even as he stood bound by vows to Diana. The revelation sent shockwaves through the public, dealing a mortal blow to Diana's spirit. In response, Charles stepped into the spotlight, publicly confessing his sin, confirming the suspicions that had simmered for years. Unbowed, Diana took to the airwaves and shared her side, delivering a now legendary remark about the third presence in her shattered marriage. The public bowed before her pain, seeing Diana as a figure cruelly wronged by fate, trapped in a nightmare she hadn't fully grasped when she first uttered "I do" in MMO in innocence. What began as a seemingly perfect royal romance had crumbled into jagged pieces of heartbreak, betrayal, and unbearable pressure. Keep watching to uncover the deepest secrets of Charles's heart, what he truly felt about their turbulent bond. Shadows of warning. The truth emerged, cold and merciless. At last, Diana saw the agonizing reality. Charles's heart had never truly been hers. Camilla Parker Bowles, a specter from his past, hovered like a ghost that refused to depart, erecting an invisible yet unbreakable wall between them. Diana had once hoped their children would weave a thread to draw their souls closer, but that dream remained a distant mirage. Her pain deepened as the veil of secrecy lifted. Charles's affair with Camilla was no longer a whisper in the dark. It was a brutal slash, tearing apart the princess fantasy she had once cherished. Royal life, with its glittering facade, was a labyrinth of traps. The relentless demands of duty and the ever-present gaze of cameras choked her, leaving no space for private wounds to heal in silence. Diana donned a mask of calm, attending events with a forced smile, but within, she battled a rising storm of insecurity. Camilla wasn't merely a distant memory in Charles's life. She was a living presence, ever clinging, ever near. Over the years, Diana poured her soul into winning Charles's devotion, pleading with him, confronting him in desperation, searching for answers to why he kept an icy emotional distance. Yet all her efforts scattered like petals in the wind. Nothing shifted. Charles, torn between his duty as a husband and the invisible thread binding him to Camilla, failed to soothe his wife's breaking heart. The tension between them became a smoldering flame, impossible to extinguish, and soon their wounds were laid bare for all to see. The media, like predators starved for prey, caught the sorrow in Diana's eyes, her quiet bows at events, and the swelling tide of her emotional anguish. Rumors spread like a plague. Journalists dissected every moment, every word, every gesture, hunting for clues of a marriage in ruins. Tabloids roared with tales of betrayal, and as the rumors flared, the public's curiosity about the secrets behind closed doors blazed hotter still. When the naked truth broke free, the royal family plunged into a maelstrom of crisis. To quell the spreading fire, Charles faced the cameras, confessing his infidelity to Diana. The carefully crafted image of a dutiful, devoted prince shattered in an instant. Diana, humiliated on a global stage, was left alone amid the wreckage of her honor. Her heartbreak became a worldwide tragedy, while Charles faced a torrent of condemnation. Many saw Diana as a soul imprisoned in an inescapable drama, wed to a man who had never truly released another. Some whispered she'd have been wronged, while others spared a flicker of sympathy for Charles, suggesting duty had forced him into a marriage never meant to be. But whatever judgments rang out, the reality stood stark and cold. Their union had collapsed. Diana grappled with profound insecurities, fearlessly speaking of her struggles. She shared her battle with bulimia, a disorder she later admitted took root in the stress and rejection of her marriage. The strain of living under ceaseless scrutiny, mingled with her private sorrow, drove her to cope in ways she later fought to overcome. Her courage in unveiling such intimate shadows broke the pristine shell of the traditional royal image. Rather than maintaining a distant perfection, she let the world see her scars, becoming one of the most relatable figures of her era. By 1992, Charles and Diana had formally parted, a conclusion long foretold. By 1996, their divorce was finalized, closing a chapter steeped in tragedy. Though her personal life drowned in anguish, Diana transformed her pain into a beacon, reaching for something greater. She ignited a passion for humanitarian work, championing causes others shunned. She wielded her platform to spotlight the needy, showing kindness that defied royal precedent. Her compassion and authenticity won her widespread adoration. Even as her marriage crumbled, her fame soared. She continued to fight for the causes close to her heart: HIV/AIDS, landmine removal, children's welfare, and mental health awareness. Her ability to connect on a deeply human level cemented her as the people's princess. Diana evolved from a young bride seeking love into a fierce advocate for the voiceless. Her tragic death in 1997 only deepened the world's bond with her. Millions mourned, feeling as though they'd lost someone they knew personally. Today, her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, carry forward the work she championed. Through their charitable efforts, they honor her legacy, ensuring her compassion and dedication to the downtrodden endure. Though her time was cut short, Diana's impact remains undeniable. Meanwhile, this was Charles's chance. A love beyond time. Camilla's connection to Prince Charles stretched back long before she became his wife. Though they married years after Diana's passing, their history reached into a time before Diana even entered Charles's life. Their relationship was known within aristocratic circles. Yet before Charles, Camilla was romantically tied to Andrew Parker Bowles, a man who played a pivotal role in her early adult years. Their love story was intricate, marked by separations, reunions, and ultimately marriage. In the late 1960s, Camilla met Andrew Parker Bowles through his younger brother, Simon, who worked at her father's wine firm in Mayfair. At the time, Andrew served as a lieutenant in the Blues and Royals, a regiment of the prestigious Guards Division. His military rank and aristocratic ties made him a sought-after figure. Their bond grew steadily, though not without its trials. Still, it was strong enough for them to consider marriage. Their engagement was announced in 1973, but later reports suggested family influence shaped the decision. Allegedly, their families preemptively publicized the engagement before it was fully agreed upon. The suddenness of this move ultimately spurred Andrew to propose, and their wedding took place on July 4, 1973. At the time, Camilla was 25, Andrew 33. They went on to have two children. Their son, Tom Parker Bowles, born December 18, 1974, followed by their daughter, Laura, born January 1, 1978. Tom held a notable royal tie as King Charles III's chosen godson. Both children were raised in the Roman Catholic faith, influenced by their paternal grandmother, Anne Parker Bowles. Camilla, however, never converted, remaining Anglican throughout her life. By the early 1990s, cracks emerged in their marriage. Years of strain took their toll, and after 21 years together, they chose to end it. In December 1994, they began the legal process of divorce. A month later, their petition was granted by London's High Court Family Division. On March 3, 1999, their divorce was finalized. Andrew moved on and remarried, officially closing their chapter. Long before her marriage to Andrew, Camilla had crossed paths with Prince Charles. Their lives first intersected in mid-1971, during a period when Andrew was romantically linked to Princess Anne. Though they moved in the same social circles, Camilla and Charles hadn't been formally introduced until then. Their mutual friend, Lucia Santa Cruz, arranged their meeting, not at a polo match as many assumed, but in the intimacy of her home. Their connection sparked quickly as they uncovered shared interests and backgrounds. Over time, they became a renowned pair among the aristocracy, attending events together and bonding over their love of equestrian sports, which deepened their tie. Charles was eventually welcomed into Camilla's family home in Plumpton, and she, in turn, met members of his. Despite their strong bond, circumstance dealt a turning blow. In early 1973, Charles departed for Royal Navy service, his absence straining their relationship. By his return, their romance had faded. Though no longer lovers, Charles and Camilla held fast to a deep friendship. Some claimed their romance rekindled by 1980. Others argued it never fully died. Regardless, Camilla's presence in Charles's life remained undeniable as his marriage to Diana unraveled. The emotional toll became stark. The couple struggled to sustain their union, each seeking solace elsewhere. Diana in extramarital affairs, Charles in his unbroken tie to Camilla. The tension surrounding them drew mounting scrutiny, with public opinion largely condemning their actions. Ultimately, the royal marriage could no longer stand, and Charles and Diana finalized their divorce. Tragically, in 1997, Diana met her end. Her passing shifted the public's gaze, and for a time, Camilla retreated from the spotlight. Yet as years passed, Charles and Camilla's relationship pressed forward. On February 10, 2005, Clarence House announced their engagement, a pivotal moment in their journey. The news drew widespread attention, carrying weight beyond a mere union. Charles's role as the future head of the Church of England added complexity, given Camilla's prior marriage. Despite early concerns, approval came from the Queen, the government, and the Church, clearing their path. Their civil ceremony took place on April 9, 2005, at Windsor Guildhall, its arrangements reflecting the delicacy of their situation. Notably, their parents did not attend. Instead, Camilla's son, Tom Parker Bowles, and Charles's eldest, Prince William, stood as witnesses. With her marriage to Charles, Camilla became Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cornwall. Though entitled to the title Princess of Wales, she declined it, honoring its deep tie to Diana and public sentiment, which still viewed her role in Charles's life with skepticism. On September 8, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II passed away, and Charles ascended the throne. With this shift, Camilla became Queen Consort, initially styled as Her Majesty the Queen Consort to distinguish her from the late Queen. The title underscored her supportive role beside King Charles III, separate from the monarch who reigned for 7 decades. Over time, Camilla overcame early challenges, her public image evolving as she gained recognition within the royal family. Each new trial marked a stage in her journey. What once sparked controversy gradually became an accepted reality. To understand how Charles stood firm in his choice, let us revisit his early years and the forces that shaped his upbringing.